I'm going to share with you 3 different ways to hang fairy lights in your car camper or your van. Hi guys, welcome to my channel, Honey and Me. I'm Susan. If you've watched as many car camping videos and van life videos as I have, you'll know that most people who do car camping or van life have little fairy lights strung on the inside of their vehicle for some ambiance type of lighting. There are lots of bugs out today for some reason. It's kind of overcast and we're supposed to maybe get a little bit of a thunderstorm this afternoon, which will be kind of fun. It's bringing out the bugs. They're not mosquitoes, they're the little black flies that bite quite hard. So I'm sitting out here in a tank top and shorts and wishing I'd maybe put on some more clothing. So when I first did my car up as a car camper, I definitely wanted to have fairy lights in my car because I thought it looked so pretty. So that was one of the things I had to figure out, how to string lights in a car that isn't designed to have lights strung in it. The first thing I used were just regular sewing pins, the kind that have the little bead on the top. So let me show you how I use the pins. They did a pretty good job. I want to stick these pins into the soft part on the roof of my car. This is above the back window here. And you can see, you can just stick the pins right in there. They go right in, but they also come right straight back out. I tried doing them just on an angle, like putting them in really on a sharp angle down and then stringing the lights above these, and that worked okay in some places, but I found that if I bent the pins in an assortment of ways that they stayed in a lot better. So that's what I'm going to show you. So I have my little pin cushion here with a bunch of little pins in it. I also found that having a little pair of pliers was handy. You can bend the pins with your fingers. You just have to be careful you don't poke yourself. So a pair of pliers might be a good idea. Probably needle nose ones if you don't have a little tiny pair like this. How you bend the pins is going to depend on where the pin needs to go. Because the lights are going to be hanging over these and weighing them down, they need to be angled in a way that they can take the weight. Now the fairy lights, normally, mine anyway, are on a wire. And the wire is flexible and bendable and holds its shape when you bend it. So what you can do with the pin is just wrap the wire around the pin and then stick it into the fabric on the top of your car. You can also bend your pin with your pliers or your fingers. They're pretty easy to bend, and make a kind of a hook. So it's going to be an upside down hook, but this part gets pushed in a downwards motion, and the wire, because it's wrapped around, doesn't come off the end of the bead here. There's different ways you can do this. This can be tucked in behind the plastic lining of your vehicle. You have to kind of play around with how to make the pins stay. But if you're looking for a cheap way to do this, the pins worked pretty good. So here's my bent pin, and you can tuck it behind the lining here. Because the pin is tucked behind the hard plastic lining, it can't really pull out. It hangs quite nicely, and you can do this all the way along here, however many you need. Now my car, you can see over here, doesn't have any plastic lining above the door windows. So I had to wrap them around the handles up there. But then over here, I could do the pins again into the lining because that's plastic between the front and the back door. Then to go across, you can see my interior light up here. I used a command strip, little tiny plastic hook. You can see I have one here on the back light. They're just really little command strips. They've got a little tiny hook on them. I think I've got 2 or 3 times around this little hook, and then I can just carry on across the back of my car to the other side. Halfway between where I've got the first one there and over here where I've got the light, I've put another pin in here, and I'm just squishing that one down. That just holds it up so it's not sagging down and getting caught on things that I'm putting in and out of the back of the car. So the next thing I tried, and they were very successful, were the little clips that I got from Temu, and I showed them to you in my last video where I did a Temu haul for the car camper. These worked really, really well for suspending fairy lights in the car. If you want to order some of these from Temu, I'll leave a link down in the description where I found these. I am not affiliated with Temu, not going to get any kickbacks if you buy these or if you don't. They're just really handy little hooks for hanging things up on the inside of your car camper. So these are what I'm going to show you next. These hooks can be used two different ways. You can use this part to go down behind the liner around the top of your car, or you can take the hook and hook it this way. And if you do it this way, you'll need to take your lights and thread them through the hole. If you figure out how many hooks you're going to need before you start putting your lights up, it'll make it a whole lot easier by threading all of these on before you start hanging the lights up. Or you can use them this way and just put the lights over top. I would just wrap them around a couple of times to make sure they stay in place. So I'm sticking this part with the hole in it down behind the lining of the plastic here, and the lights are suspended from this. Or you take the hook part and hook it in there, and you just thread your lights through the hole here. The last way that I'm going to show you how to hang fairy lights in your car, camper, or your van, it's your coffee cream or your milk that comes in a cardboard carton. These are the little things that you pull out of the spout when you buy the kind that has a little twist off top on the top. They have a solid side, and then they have a side which is where you would pull from, that is a ring. And I'm going to show you how I use these to hang the fairy lights in my car camper. And these are the ones that I'm actually continuing to use. I got a whole handful of them here. I've been collecting them for a few months. Now, I can't take credit for this ingenious idea. I saw it on Travel Grandma's channel, where she was doing a tour of another lady's van, and this lady had figured out that these were a great way to hang things up in your vehicle. So I'm gonna link that video down below if I can find it. Otherwise, just check out Travel Grandma's channel. The little tops from the milk jugs work quite well. You just fit that in the back behind the plastic there and push them in. And then you're left with this nice little ring that you can feed the wires of the lights through. I've got my lights all suspended now. I used a combination of the little milk tabs as well as a couple of pins to take them across areas where there aren't places to stick the little milk top things. I also used a couple of the little command strip tiny hooks. These ones are clear, and I've wrapped the cord around them several times to make sure it stays there. And then another pin over here. And then I have the little tabs from the milk jugs suspended where I can put those. And then I wrapped the lights around the handles above the doors. That's the last one on this side. Then it goes across the ceiling to the other light where I have another little hook. And then over to the other side where we go across. Doing the same thing with the handle, the little milk toppers, and then back to the battery bank. I've attached a command strip on the back of the battery box and then one on the windowsill of the car. And I line them up and make sure they're above each other, and then just push them in and snap the two together, and it keeps them pretty good. And I've got the button right here that I can turn them on and off with. So now that I've got my fairy lights all hung up in the car, let's wait until tonight and I'll show you what it looks like. So here's my fairy lights all lit up inside the car. These ones are ones I got from Costco, and they are very tiny little lights. I didn't want anything too big because when I'm stealth camping, I didn't want anybody to be able to see them from outside. If this video was helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see some more, subscribe.